Philosophy begins in wonder, and at the end, when philosophical thought has done its best, the wonder remains. Alfred North Whitehead. In the twilight of my academic life, I found myself fluent in a strange elite dialect. Elaborate wordplay dressed up as brilliance, padded with imported phrases from whichever French or German theorist was trending that semester. I didn't really speak truth. I performed it. At university, especially in the arts and humanities, success wasn't about substance. It was about echoing the right intellectual gods and making it sound complicated enough that no one dared challenge you. When I was a student in the 90s, the reigning deity was Jean Baudrillard. His books looked like high-end children's books, oversized, glossy, and perfectly designed for the living room coffee table. They were more conversation starters than serious study. By the time I reached postgraduate study in the 2000s, Baudrillard had been dethroned, replaced by the likes of Slavoj Zizek and Jacques Lacan. Reality became endlessly deferred. Nothing was as it appeared. Everything is a symbol, we said, or worse, a simulation. Academia, I realized, wasn't immune to fashion. It was fashion. Ideas went in and out of style like hemlines. If your thinking didn't conform to the elite tastes of the moment, you were dismissed as irrelevant. Once I tried to cite a once revered philosopher whose intellectual moment had passed. My tutor, an expert in reconfiguring verbs into nouns, sniffed in disapproval. He's not taken seriously anymore. That was code for, he's not cool. The ivory tower became claustrophobic. I wasn't cut out for the rituals of posturing or for the unpaid labor that passes as intellectual devotion. Behind the scenes, adjunct lecturers scraped by with uncertain incomes while selling half-believed truths to students. The idealism that drew many of us into academia had withered into quiet desperation. I walked away, but I left with a well-earned doctorate and an acute understanding of how intellectual fashion is dressed, marketed, and sold. That's probably why I understand so well why the modern academic world scoffs at modern Stoicism, why it finds the philosophy earnest, gauche, even embarrassing. To some, a desire to improve oneself, to live as a better parent, partner, citizen, is nothing but bourgeois sentimentality. In academic circles, it gets dissected. The Freudian calls it repression. The Marxist calls it false consciousness. The Girardian calls it mimetic desire. Under their scalpels, sincerity bleeds out until nothing real is left. These theories don't aim to clarify life, they aim to complicate it beyond belief. Yet it was outside the echo chamber of intellectualism that I discovered something profound. Years after I had stopped reading anything philosophical, I stumbled upon Baruch Spinoza. His clarity hit me like a slap in the fog. From Spinoza, I found my way to Stoicism, not the museum piece version, but a vibrant, modern revival that actually wanted to help people live better lives. Modern Stoicism is not a single doctrine, but a mosaic. It's made up of historians, therapists, philosophers, and content creators, each reinterpreting Stoic principles for today's world. But with this diversity comes a new problem: image. To many, modern Stoicism looks cheap. Too many books feel like life hacks. Too many creators pitch Stoic wisdom like it's just another productivity tool. The king of this empire is Ryan Holiday, a former marketing prodigy turned Stoic evangelist. He's polarizing. To critics, he's more brand than philosopher. But what they fail to grasp is that his commercial success is the delivery vehicle, not the destination. Holiday has brought Stoicism to millions, especially to young men adrift in a world of nihilism or rage. For all the criticism, he's given people tools to become more disciplined, more just, more stable. His work is undeniably valuable, but yes, he also sells coins, journals, and seminars, which makes him an easy target for academic purists. Underneath Holiday's shadow are various factions. Some Stoics approach the philosophy as therapy, others are academic purists fascinated by its internal logic, and then there are history buffs who romanticize the ancient world. I admire Massimo Pigliucci most among them. He brings intellectual rigor without pretension and links Stoicism to the scientific method, a sorely needed perspective in a world gorged on superstition. Still, the Academy resists. Classicists tend to dismiss modern Stoicism as a parody of the original. Some treat it as a fossil. Martha Nussbaum has reworked Stoicism into her own vision of global justice and animal ethics, distancing it from its harsher elements. Others are more hostile. Mary Beard has called Stoicism nasty and bordering on fascist, while Emily Wilson reminds us that Seneca, for all his eloquence, was a man of considerable privilege and blind spots. Even Gregory Hayes, translator of Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, treats modern Stoics with faint praise, suggesting that even their most enthusiastic portrayals are unwittingly satirical. For many intellectuals, modern Stoicism feels like kitsch, philosophy in motivational poster form. This aesthetic problem is real, from mass-market books with statues on the cover to AI-generated YouTube thumbnails that combine sculpted Roman torsos with TikTok slogans. The message of Stoicism often gets buried under bad art. These visuals aren't just lazy, they're dangerous. They draw in vulnerable viewers, especially young men, and mix genuine philosophy with reactionary ideology and shallow self-help. That's not Stoicism. That's opportunism with a Roman paint job. Stoicism, rightly understood, doesn't promote detachment from reality. It demands engagement with it. It doesn't encourage political rage. It offers a way beyond politics altogether. It's not about becoming cold, it's about becoming steady. What we're left with is Stoic kitsch, pseudo-wisdom sold through algorithms and cheap symbolism, and it's hurting Stoicism's reputation. The irony is that the classical world from which Stoicism emerged was not at all how we picture it today. It wasn't pristine, white, and silent. It was loud, colorful, chaotic. Those smooth white statues, originally painted in vibrant hues that we've since erased to fit a false ideal of order and clarity. In my own writing on Stoicism, spanning nearly 6 years, I've turned to art to represent this philosophy visually, but not the cliched busts and togas. I use public domain artworks that challenge and inspire, ones that mirror the emotional and intellectual transformation Stoicism invites. What I want people to understand is that Stoicism isn't about frozen virtue carved in stone. It's alive. It breathes. It changes. It confronts modern life, not by escaping into the past, but by evolving into the present. Yet for Stoicism to remain relevant and powerful, we must separate the philosophy from its outdated packaging. We must be brave enough to let go of Marcus and Seneca as untouchable saints and see them as what they were, flawed, brilliant human beings. Only then can we bring Stoicism back down from its marble pedestal and make it a living, breathing guide for modern life. Stoicism stands now at a tipping point. Will it dissolve into a passing fad, absorbed and discarded by the algorithmic churn? Or will it rise as a renewed force, a practical, ethical framework to meet the confusion and anxiety of our age? If it is to rise, we need both honesty and imagination. We need the courage to defend it from distortion and the wisdom to reinvent its voice for a world that desperately needs it. Stoicism isn't timeless, it's timely, and maybe that's what makes it eternal.